What's up, guys? Cornard here. Today we're going to be taking a look at iOS 7. While we wait for this to boot up, iOS 7 is very interesting. As you can see, it is a major change. Actually, hopefully you can see in a second. I am actually narrating this right now because of some audio issues. But anyways, as you can see here, there's a different lock screen. You can actually swipe from any side to unlock it. And hopefully I'm going to be doing that as I record this. Yep, as you can see, you can swipe from any side there, and you can unlock it. And really, what they have changed is very noticeable as far as the lock screen, and the whole operating system is completely different. Now, as you can see, I actually have folders here already made for you, so hopefully I'll be launching that in a second. So it's a 3x3 folders, and as you can see, applications, I should say. There are 9 applications, and you can see there that they've changed the look of the applications. Photos is no longer the same that you get with it, and they've just made it look very minimalistic, I'd say. I'm not hugely a fan of this aspect of iOS 7, but as you can see, if we take a look at the notes here, they've gotten rid of the metaphorical use of paper. They're now using just plain white to pretty much go over the notes, and they've gotten rid of the metaphor aspect of things. And it's definitely evident with iOS 7. Now, if you take a look at messages, you can see that everything's white, even the keyboard is white on it itself. So there's really, the change is white, and everything has become white. It's very interesting in a matter of speaking. Now, if we look at photos, the same thing, the same overlay. It's very white and blue. They use a lot of blue, and you can obviously download photos from iCloud. You can create new albums, but it's quite evident that they've changed this design to be very minimalistic. And if you look at the camera, they've actually added some really cool things with the photo. You can have, obviously, cube and video you can take, and what's really interesting about the video is it actually records your voice. You can hear it when you first do it, so you can actually hear yourself being recorded. So, and if we go back into photos, you can actually have specific effects that you can have with the photos. You can slide through this and select a different photo, as you can see from me clicking on that. You can choose black and white, color, and it's rather basic in that sense. But, yeah, I kind of have to say, after really thinking about and going through this tutorial, at least the first time, now I'm re-recording it, it's not bad, but it's way too minimal. And I don't really like that aspect of it. So as you can see in the settings here, there are many ways you can change things. I was actually showing that before on there, and as you can see, even the calendar is minimalistic. It's white and red. They're really keeping this white up, and you can see dates. You can create dates. It works really, really much like the same phone you've had. It's just everything's been reorganized to be just very plain. It's kind of like going back to Windows 3.1 from Windows 3. So, as you can see, again, these icons are very ugly. Even the maps is basically being plain and white like it was originally. So you can see that. You can post your location to Facebook, which is something new. Twitter and email and SMS have always been there. Also, I want to add that the App Store hasn't really changed much, other than the fact that they've changed the little icons on the bottom. The App Store is pretty much the same, except that now they have apps designed for the minimalism. And the Game Center is really interesting in the fact that it basically adds a non-minimalistic feel to it. It's just too much. To me, it's way too much, and now they're making it into bubbles. I don't know whose idea was to use bubbles for the interface. To me, it's not that cool. And, I mean, if you've used iOS 6, you've used every iOS product. There's some new features, as I was trying to explain in this video. But, overall, it's pretty similar. And if we go into the settings here, there's some things I recommend doing, actually. I believe it's actually in the, there's some accessibility options we can get to. But, we'll wait for a second. I think I was showing off in the settings, and if it didn't go well, all of the apps. Okay, so what I was doing was I was opening up applications and double tapping. You know how you deal with multiple applications? You actually can close the apps much faster than you used to. Instead of having to that little minus button, you can actually also use 3 fingers at once and slide to get rid of the applications. So again, it's very easy to do. And again, they've changed the color with everything. And if you tilt it, you'll see that it's just so, it's less metaphorical. And you can also tilt it and also be able to close your apps as well. So I'm not sure if that's anything for the future. The music app they've updated too to include a Pandora feature, which is basically iTunes Radio that mixes your music up. And if you look at the notifications bar, they've organized it much more to include all missed calls and such. So looking at the weather, they've also changed it, and to me, they're not really that consistent, because now look at all the stuff that's going on in the background. If they were so into minimalism, then why did they not? Now, another thing they've changed was this application control center, or really the control center, not application, because they're services. But you can turn on airplane mode, turn on Wi-Fi, turn on Bluetooth, and be able to have the ability to also load apps like the flashlight, the compass, the calculator, and the phone, and the camera. What am I saying? And you can open that up with any app, which is quite nice. That's a nice feature they've added. I might want to add. And again, the weather app you get to select. As far as that's concerned, there's not much more as far as I can think of. Let's see where I go to next as far as this is concerned. But there are some things you want to change in the settings, and I think that's what I'm talking about. Things that'll make your life easier. For example, if you go into General and go into the, believe it's under Accessibility, or actually I might talk about Background App Refresh first. Background App Refresh basically means that all the background apps you have loaded will keep reloading, so it'll get you updates on the app. I'd highly suggest disabling that. Another thing I recommend doing, and I believe I go to this next, is you should basically turn off the motion. So this motion, if I went to that, or did I go to bold text? I believe I talked about bold text. Trust me, you want to turn bold text on. If you don't, it'll end up looking like this. By default, it's off. Your whole home screen will be very, very light. You really can't see it outside whatsoever, nor really that well inside for that matter. And if you look here, you can't read that well. So when you go back and you actually re-enable it, it restarts your phone and it basically fixes everything as far as being able to read what you're looking at. So I just re-enabled it for the fact of showing that it basically takes it's pretty quick. It'll restart the phone very quickly. And again, you slide to unlock, and that's the new passcode. Another thing I want to really emphasize is turning off the motion, and that's what I went into next. The motion, what it does is it basically, your phone looks 3D when you start moving it around, and it's not really worth it. You actually really want to turn that off, because or turn it on to reduce motion, because it's a waste of battery life, honestly, and there's no point. You just move your phone around and you see the icons move with it, with the background. It's cool, but it's really unnecessary. They've added some accessibility features for many people. They've also added the ability for They've added the ability for schools to do a little bit more control, which is quite nice. Mono audio, flash But that's been there, some of this stuff. And obviously the restrictions, again, more school stuff they've added, so that if you're in school and you're using an iPad, for example, you'll have more control over it. Although Android, as far as I'm concerned, has way, way more control and more locking that you can have with multiple users. It's kind of better in that sense. Oh, and what I want to talk about is this spotlight search. So you actually normally have to go all the way over to the left to initiate spotlight search. Now you can just drag from any empty space and you'll have that search up so you can start searching. These are kind of the major changes that they've done that you should know if you're going into iOS 6. And I really want to make this video, should you upgrade? And I really still stand by the statement of, it's up to you. There's quite a few nice features that make it worth upgrading to. I believe I also mentioned the fact that you can control a lot of things with Siri. Towards the end of this video, you can just initiate Siri and really just say enable Bluetooth, for example, and it enables Bluetooth. You can also say disable Bluetooth. You can open up an application too. I think I say open up Netflix. And it opens it up. It does a weird thing with the screen. So, and again, it works pretty well. It's kind of cool to have that ability, especially if you're driving or something. But you really shouldn't be using your phone. As you can see, it'll open up any app you specify. It can close things. It can update your Facebook status. So there are some features with iOS 7, but at its core, and this is my whole point of this video, at its core, it's really the same iOS, other than the fact that they've added and changed some of the UI. It's still the same friendly interface that some people tend to like. It's not like Android in that sense. Some people are saying it's becoming more like Android, I guess in some ways, but not all. So the real choice is up to you if you want to upgrade. I would say with the folders, with everything, the notification center, the control center, again, the separation for the notification center, it makes it worth the upgrade because it's free. I'm not really complaining much when you actually are able to update the settings, but anyways, guys, this is pretty much all I have to say about iOS 7 as far as how to use iOS 7. Is it worth upgrading? That's up to you. There's not much on how to use it. It's not that hard or that much difficult. There has been stuff that has changed. So thank you guys again for watching this video and taking the time. I appreciate you liking this video, considering I've tried to record this thing actually, I think 4 or 5 times because of the microphone on my part. So thank you guys again for watching this video, and definitely comment, like this video, and share this with your friends.